Hey, how's it going? And today I was going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to show you something that doesn't work. And this is related to dynamic bindings in Unreal Engine 5.5. You'll see, and there's this documentation online. It talks about dynamic binding, and on the very bottom of this documentation, it has this real simple exercise that you can do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this exercise. It's changed a little bit from here, but I'm going to follow the gist of it, and I'm going to show you that it doesn't work. And I'm just assuming that this is a new feature and there is a bug in it, and I already filed a bug report. That's the only thing I can assume it is, because I've tried 100 different ways to get this to work and it just does not work. Let's jump into Unreal Engine. The dynamic binding directly relates to what are called replaceables. And so to talk about that really super quick is there's basically three things in the sequencer. There's what they call possessables, which exist and persist in the actual level. Like these would all be considered possessable because they actually exist. They're not spawned in. And then you have what's called spawnables, which only exist in an active sequencer, and it's indicated by a thunderbolt. You'll see a thunderbolt over here sometimes. And this is new, and this is where I think the bug's coming from, are these replaceables. And these replaceables spawn in for editing or preview and are used for dynamic binding. So dynamic binding essentially allows you to swap out or replace an actor that's in the sequencer with another actor, and that actor does not have to be put into the sequencer. So it's a pretty nifty function if you think about it. You can connect to another actor in the scene without bringing that actor into the sequencer. So maybe this will make a little bit more sense as we go through this example. So in that example, the first thing they tell us to do is to get some shapes. So I'll click here on shapes, and they say to get a cube, and we'll drag the cube into the scene like this. And then they say to get a sphere, and I'll bring a sphere in here. And this is going to be our replaceable right there. Now the one thing they say to do is to tag your sphere. So in the sphere over here, I'm going to search for tags, and it's this actor one. And you click this little plus sign there, and you just type in sphere. And then we can save that. So that's tagged. So that's how we're going to find it, okay? And then with this selected, we're going to just right click. Let me go on the content level here. And we're going to get a level sequence. So here's our level sequence. With that selected, I'll double click into this. I'll go add, and we'll add our cube right there. And we'll just leave it 4 seconds. Now they say to make an animation, so that's what we're going to be swap out into, I guess, is this animation. Click auto keyframe, we click here to add a frame, we jump to the end frame, and then I'm just going to drag this over here. Just a real super simple animation. I'll go back to the beginning and I'll hit play, and you'll see there's our wonderful animation, right? So now here's the interesting things. So one thing I want to show you in that documentation here, you'll see it talks about here at the very last step, it talks about enable call in editor, and as near as I can tell, it's enabled by default. And the question would be, where should we enable that at? And if you click over here on selection, you see here it says possessable, so we can't see it right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, right click, convert selected to, and you'll see we have spawnable and replaceable. It doesn't say possessable anywhere, and we want this one right here, and we want to create a new binding endpoint. And this is going to create a director blueprint for us with a function as soon as we click it. So it's creating it, and here's the director blueprint. Go ahead and dock this here, up here, and you'll see it's got this function that we can use to create a dynamic binding. So what we're going to do is go right click, and we're going to go get all actors with tag. This one right here. We're going to plug this in here and plug this in here. And the tag is, we can just type it in, the tag is sphere. And I've tested that this works. The tag system works. And then off of here, we're just going to go get copy. And then we have to split this pin right here. And then all we have to do is put this in here, and that's our function. So this is going to go and get our sphere, supposedly. Now if I click here, you'll see there's a call in editor, and that's enabled. And here the call-in editor is enabled. Let me compile and save that. No errors. I'll go back to the beginning. Now if I click over here, now that I've converted this to a, we have some options here. So if we click here, binding properties, go to sequencer, you'll see we have the call-in editor here, and you see that's selected, right? I've just followed that documentation to pretty much to the letter. So what should happen is when I hit play, the sphere should do the animation, not the cube, because we have it designated as replaceable. And we have followed the documentation pretty much to the level. See where it shows the cube, and then they switch it to call-in editor. You see that? So we have it switched to call-in editor, so let's see if it works. No. And so I've tried everything. I thought maybe, let's click on the sphere here. I was wondering maybe, because maybe it needs to be on movable. So is that what's the problem? But that's not in the original instructions. Let's hit play. No. Yeah, so everything I tried bringing these in as actor blueprints. I tried doing it more directly. You don't even need to do the tag, because if you look at this, let me disconnect this, I'll show you. If we made this sphere here an actor blueprint, we could just go and directly select it here as an asset, right? Even if I were to directly select it, it wouldn't work, is what I'm trying to tell you. So anyway, I did file a bug report, but I just wanted to post this in case you ran into this problem and are maybe thinking you did something wrong. Now, one of the things too about the replaceable is, here's what the Thunderbolt looks like if it was a spawnable. But you'll see here it's a new icon with arrows, and that means it's a quote-unquote replaceable. But honestly, I don't think it's working as expected. Just FYI. So anyway, that's all I had for today. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.